Hello, guys. Welcome to the first episode of Rumour Roundup, hosted by yours truly, Darius 3K, on the greatest channel of all time, Paxton Road TV. And even though the season's over, entertainment and content does not stop. So I've decided, and along with everyone else here, and also the team behind at Paxton Road, we decided to bring you a show that I think everybody will enjoy, because with our director of football, there's never going to not be something to talk about, because we're always going to have a different play to talk about. So I'm pretty happy that I'm head of this show, because I don't think I'll ever get bored. But I can't do this show by myself. I really can't. Honestly, I decided to probably get the best of the best here today. All ones that were available. And you know what? I probably couldn't ask for a much better start to my my panel. So I'll go along and I'll welcome everyone. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with them all anyway, but I have to do my introductions because I cannot do the show without them. So first of all, we have Sean in the house, the Paxton Road TV massive, as he says. Got a new hat on. I think we've got a bit of competition with obviously another special guest here. But Sean, how you doing? I'm loving the hat. I think the weather, I don't know if the weather's really worth the hat, because I feel like when I wear hats, it's just hotter for me. So I don't know how you're doing, but I hope you're doing good.
I'm doing fine. I'm the buzz that was the end of last season is just carrying on through this transfer window. So everything's good. Everything's very good. And I've just confirmed I've got a ticket for the Rangers friendly, which is a bus ride from my house. So looking forward to that.
Good. I mean, I can't honestly really say that I've got much planned this summer. I've just got home, so it feels nice to be home and relaxed, to be fair, but I do need to get out and get some stuff done, because I'm back in my hometown, Nottingham, so the weather's good. You can see I'm just fanning myself constantly because it is just literally so hot. So I'm not gonna even carry on. I'm gonna literally introduce my next guest. Jack, how are you doing, mate? Flat Cap Euro Talk, Irish Hotspur. Now seems like you're a regular on this channel, which is what I've always wanted as well. So I cannot ask for much more. How you doing? Are you doing good? I'm just going
pretty well. I practically force my way in on this channel sometimes. I don't even take a no for answer. Force my way in, especially on on Ask Sit. Sometimes I force my way in. So it helps to be here. But good to be here with John. I feel like John and I usually share very similar opinions, but maybe not sense of hats today. But we'll see what goes from here. But yeah, good to be back. It's scariest for on the show.
You know what? Honestly, I've not had the time really to do many hosting of shows. Try to do the lineup, but obviously, with being away, it's difficult to try and get it done. So I've got a few months off. So hopefully, I can be consistent with this show and get as many guests on as possible. And you guys are big. So yeah, it's great to have you. And obviously, we can't forget the main man himself, the transfer man himself. I can't do a transfer rumor show without the transfer rumor man himself. Sid, welcome. How you doing? And please tell me you've not done any research, because I'm kind of wanting to surprise you with a few things today. So hopefully you haven't got already your ideas sorted out and your positions ready and planned, because you've got that inside information. It's not fair on us. We can do whatever we can, but you've got the information. So how you doing, mate?
Listen, I'm all right. Nice to see you, Sean, and yourself, and also Jack as well. Always a pleasure. And Jack, you're always welcome on Ask Sid and Sid Says. You don't need to force yourself in. The door is always open. The sliding doors. Just come in anytime you want. No
knocking.
Yeah, no knocking, no. But as you were saying, Darius, you know what? I've not done no homework, because I thought you two are the transfer kings, mate, because you know everything from A to Z, right? You know the ins and outs, the stats, inside legs, outside legs, head, bloody hats, everything. So
Do you know what? There's probably a third division in Bohemia that they're covering, these two boys.
Don't. Exactly. I tried to watch K-League when lockdown came back, but I barely got through that, to be fair. That's as far as I'm going to go, to be honest.
But I'm interested, I'm interested in what you two have got to say. So I'm taking a seat back today. I'm not hosting. I'm going to let you host, and I'm going to sit back and relax today.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I don't think I'd have to do much effort when I'm hosting when I have you guys, because I know that the conversations sort of come naturally. So I'm actually looking forward to this. I'm not really gonna keep us here for too much longer. I just want to say to everybody, please subscribe. Paxton Road TV is still growing through this summer. and we need all your help to get us to the next goal, which I think I want it to be 2K. I think we're not that far away from 2K. So if we can get 2,000 subscribers before the season starts, you know what? I might give you guys something crazy. I'm not even going to say what because I don't want to, say anything mad, but I might have something in store for you amazing people. So if we could even think about
Darius, you might get some offers that you have to turn down, my friend.
Look, I'm not even going to reveal the present because I'm not even going to put myself into that situation. But I'm saying if we can get to 2K, it may be something special for someone at Paxton Road. So make sure you subscribe.
Forget the 2K, Darius. Forget your name, Darius 3K.
When we get to 3K, there's a Darius 3K special happening on this channel when we get to 3K. I promise you that. But no, I'm not gonna hold you guys for much longer. I do want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Jazz Fusion, look at the amazing instrument there. 2-year loan offer made today for Longley. I'm just saying. Don't know how you guys feel about Clement Longley. A loan deal for me is not that bad, to be honest with you, but at the same time, is it worth it? Can we get another player for maybe cheaper, I'd say, or not even cheaper, but can you get a younger player and spend that money somewhere else and just put all of it into one basket? So don't know how you guys feel about that. Anyone got any thoughts on Clement Longley?
It looks like an emergency, almost like an emergency eject button, sort of left-sided center back for us, where he's available, I think, on a loan, and I think we're not even gonna ever buy him. I think he's just the sort of, let's say Bastoni doesn't work, Gavardiol doesn't work, Torres doesn't work. Maybe we might just give up after that and just use Longley as like the emergency parachute, sort of left-sided center back, and then just go after Gavardiol, Bastoni, the next, window, or, the next summer window, or whatever it may be. So I see him as the emergency bail option.
Understandable.
This one seems a bit like they're doing all the pushing, aren't they? It seems like they want to get rid of him to Spurs.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much from, like you said,
he's
Jack,
one of the first, I
us.
think, to leave Barcelona.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the first out the door. You're right, Sid.
Yeah.
He's probably got a wage bill that they need to save.
I mean, I don't know what's going on at Barcelona, to be fair. I see Barcelona saying, "Oh, we need to sell. We need to get rid of players. We need to make funds." I'm hearing that Frankie de Jong's looking more and more likely to join Manchester United, but then at the same time, in the same breath, I'm seeing that Bernardo Silva is being linked to Barcelona for a similar price. So I don't actually know what's going on at that club. I don't know if they're trying to sort of fool people with the lack of money, or they genuinely are in absolute turmoil. But it doesn't. I don't even know.
They're a basket case financially, Darius.
It's a mess everywhere. It's a mess everywhere.
And the worst thing is, unlike us, where we've got long-term debt, they've got short-term debt, and that's a problem for them.
And you can see it's evident in their deals.
They want top dollar for De Jong, but I think they're facing a different Man United. Whereas Man United would just say, "All right, okay, whatever it is, we'll just sign it."
Yeah.
I think they're being a bit reticent to part with the money this year.
Yeah,
and I think that they're going to let Ten Hag sort of assess the squad. They're not going to, I think the days of panic buying of Ronaldo because they don't want him to play for Man City is over there. And I think there's a new broom, not necessarily a very effective broom. I believe there's a video going around social media about the chief executive sitting down in a pub with various broadcasters or podcasters. And typically someone recorded it, but so Man United is a different. That deal is certainly up in the air. I think De Jong will probably be quite happy at Barcelona. To be fair,
I think it's similar to the Bastoni, don't you think? I think he probably wouldn't be against a move to the Premier League to a team like United, but he's not going to be that person to sort of say, okay, I'm not going to play, sort of almost similar to what Kane did, well, not even what Kane did, but kind of that way, where he's going to sort of throw his toys out the pram to get a move. I don't think he's going to necessarily do that. If he stays, he stays. If he gets a move back to, well, not back to Man United, but to Man United with Frankie de Jong, Erik ten Hag, who is obviously he's known very well, and Van de Beek, and I think you can see clearly Anthony, I think, is going to almost be confirmed within the week as well. You can see that something's being built that he could definitely be a part of and a figurehead of. So I can see both sides for De Jong. I don't think he's bothered what happens, which is quite a good situation to be in.
All I can say is to swap the streets of Barcelona for the rain of Manchester, I think it's just a no-brainer for me. I'm sorry, I'm staying. In
You wouldn't swap banks, though. I'll tell you that you wouldn't swap banks.
It's a
Manchester's
big fee
mate.
to pay. It's a big fee to pay, but it's like you said, it's also a nice wage that he'll probably get as well. So I think he's looking at both options, and I think he'll probably assess both options as well. But let's carry on because we are already 10 minutes in and we haven't even got started on what we're doing today. All three Paxton Roads have said hi. So whoever it is controlling, hello. Jazz says greetings and salutations, hello. Big up Spurs related. Big up James, how you doing? Obviously, you know we love you so much. Jack somehow is still typing. He's a magician. I don't know how he's doing it. Sid, where are your frubes? James says.
I know I've not got them today. I'm run out of stock. James, don't worry. Next time I'll have it ready for you.
Jazz says that was the point. How do you know in advance they will pay if Conte doesn't make sense? It's true. It's very true. But then again, it does seem like we're sort of signings for Conte and signings for the future as well. We'll get onto that, I guess, in this video. And then it says that here's Barcelona has a large cash injection from somewhere. I know the Spotify deal gave them a lot of money, but I don't necessarily think that's going to deal with, like Sean said, the entire disaster that is happening there. So, yeah.
I think that was more like an existential sort of like move. You know, the Spotify thing needed to be done. You know,
it just had to be done. There was no other option, was there?
Yeah, I mean, it's even kind of ridiculous that it's now officially called the Spotify Camp Nou. I don't think Barcelona ever wanted that to ever happen at any stage. So they don't.
No, it's prestige. It's prestige in that stadium. And then Colavius, I don't know if anybody can. Is it Colavius? I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to try. I'm going to call you Cola. How are you doing, Cola? Thank you very much for being here. Hopefully, like I said, you're going to have some ideas for us as well. But without further ado, I'm going to get up our little 11 plus 7 other players here to talk about because as you see where the title says, it's position priority. But before we can prioritize positions to bring in, I think it's important to sort of think about who's going to go and what positions are actually going to become available. And if you actually think about trimming down the squad, which positions might not just be available, but you might actually need to go and prioritize because you literally have no place to fit that position. So I think it's good to look at the squad first and go through who you think is going to stay, who you think is going to go. Don't want to spend too much time on it, but I do think it's important. So I'll sort of go through individuals with individuals. I'll say give you each a player to go through, and if you do want to sort of talk about a player that I've given to someone else, feel free to come in and talk about it. But I think we should start with the 11. I think it's important to start with the 11, and then we'll move on to the other players that I've got here. So easy one to start with. Do you not see anything happening to Lloris? I know obviously with Fraser Forster coming in, it's good competition, but I don't think Lloris is losing his first place position unless he plays awful in that team. So yeah, I think Lloris might stay in that position there.
I think that entire starting 11 is not getting touched except for maybe Reguilón. It looks like Reguilón might be the one that's potentially out the door. Some people have even gone as far to say that there might have been some sort of falling out maybe in the background between Reguilón and Antonio Conte. I'm seeing a lot of rumors of him going to maybe Juventus. Reguilón, it seems kind of imminent that he's going to be out the door. It looks like, if you really think about it, I mean, Kane, Son, Decky, that's just the golden trio. Højbjerg, for some reason was mentioned in the same sentence as Winks, leaving the club, but then it was omitted and then edited, and the entire Højbjerg fan base was at that journalist's throat for a second there. And then Doherty probably going to stay, and then Romero, Dyer, Davies. I think, we all know they're going to stay as well.
It's a good point to make. So I'm guessing Sid, Sean, are you in agreement with that? Jack's almost sort of been able to fast track it for us. Do you think the whole squad seems like it's going to be pretty much steady apart from that left wing back as it is right now? Or as I asked that question, as Jack mentioned, Højbjerg, do you think that a certain 25 million incredible signing that we've just made, Yves Bissouma, do you think Conte is just going to say, yeah, let's just chuck him straight in? Do you think? What's your thoughts on that? Is it just left back, or is there other positions that you think could be changed before more signings come in?
Fullbacks and issues, both sides, right? Now, Reguilón, I think a lot of fans have already said from middle of last season, even at the beginning, and I've said it quite a lot of times, I just think Reguilón's just not a player that's going to be staying at Spurs for long. His inconsistency was so obvious in games, and he's always injured. Well, he's injured a lot as well, weren't he, for no apparent reasons whatsoever. So, and I think what Jack said, I think there is an issue going on somewhere along the lines in terms of someone's fallen out there. What's gone on there. So yeah, I think he's definitely not going to be at Spurs this season. With Bissouma, I think, you know what, if he would have come from another league, then what you said, Darius, that is he okay on the bench, whatever. No, I think he can walk straight into that team because he's got the experience. He's done it in the Prem, and we've discussed it how many times. The way he bamboozled when we played them, and he's done it to Arsenal. He's done it to Man United as well. So he can just walk straight in.
For me, the obvious one is Reguilón, as we say.
Yeah.
Although I think we haven't actually bought him yet. I think we still have to buy him first before we can sell him.
Similar to the Romero deal.
Yeah.
With Juve. Yeah.
Yeah, and but for me, Bissouma goes in ahead of Højbjerg. Højbjerg stays on the bench, but if 30 million, 35 million comes our way, I'm sure they'll think about it.
It's
sure
important.
They'll think about it.
It's definitely. If you, like I said, I saw Newcastle very, very early on linked with Højbjerg, and I did see that fee was. I'm pretty sure you talk about Højbjerg there, Sean, aren't you? With that fee of the 30 million. And I saw that fee as well, and I was thinking, as much as Højbjerg is a fantastic player for us, and I can credit and I can see the impact that he has in the squad and in the team, 30 million for a guy you paid basically 3 million for is basically only 10 times the amount. You can get a player like Højbjerg. Maybe, okay, he might not be the amazing leader that you want, but you can get a player who has Højbjerg's technical ability for that price, I think, quite easily. And also, there's a lot of leaders in that team. To lose Højbjerg would be massive, but it wouldn't be detrimental, in my opinion. So if you're offering wages like that, 35 million, or offering money like that, 35 million, I think I would take that, 35 million pounds. Are you again?
First time in my life, Darius, I probably have disagreed with you entirely and wholeheartedly and passionately. Here's what I would just quickly say: does the squad get weaker if Højbjerg leaves?
Yes.
So that means you have to replace Højbjerg. So if you only get rid of Højbjerg,
we've already replaced Højbjerg.
But when you look at it, like right now, let's say
Bissouma
Højbjerg
is twice the player of Højbjerg.
But you lose Højbjerg right now. How many midfielders do you have left? You have Bentancur, Skip, and then
Bissouma.
Bissouma.
Well, then
means you have to replace Højbjerg.
Højbjerg was seen as on board.
Højbjerg was seen as, I think he's already in the leadership sort of like kind of bracket or something in Antonio Conte's squad. He's played already 100 games like for this team. He's played every single match for every single manager at Spurs that he's had so far. He's had, I think, as well, the most passes, I think, into the final third. I think he had like the fourth most chances created of any of our midfielders this season as well, which is just more than any other midfielder we have. I think, honestly, some of the underlying things that Højbjerg does in either the stats or the leadership department is completely undervalued. And so if you try to get rid of Højbjerg for 30 to 35 million, you're going to struggle to try to find someone, I think, who's just as like impactful in that team.
Jack, all we've said is someone comes with that money, you think about it.
Yeah, but then you're left with Winks. You're left with Winks.
You think about it. Of course you do. Yeah. It cost us 3 million.
If someone gave me 50 million, I would consider it. I think I'd
50,
probably
I'd
take
bite
it
your
for
hand off.
50.
50, I'd bite
30
your
to
hand
35 million is absolute disrespect to Højbjerg.
I think especially in the Premier League as well. If
we just saw a kid from Portugal who played 22 games over 3 seasons go for 35 million. Like that would be, you'd be tough to find a Højbjerg replacement for 30 to 35 million.
100%.
And I think it's more the price that I'm disagreeing with. I think it's the price I'm disagreeing with.
I agree with you, Jack. 35 million, I think, I wouldn't sell him because we're going to be left with Winks then. And do you want Winks instead of
left with Winks?
He's gone, man.
Then you have to replace 2 midfielders. We already are trying to replace Winks as well.
True.
We already
and you've got Ndombele and Lo Celso as well, who I don't
creating
think
problems for yourself. You're creating unnecessary problems.
It's a good point to make. I think
unless
to a
they
Premier
shove
League,
50 million down your face, then it's a different situation. But 30 to 35 million, just creating problems for yourself, letting them go.
to a Premier League club, I think 35 million, you probably would see that.
That's also that's a steal for Newcastle.
It's
if you ask
a
me. I think
steal
that's
for
a steal
Newcastle
them.
if a team like that was to come in. So I do understand that. I think like you said, I think the way you put it is the price. I now you put it like that, I can agree with you. The price. If you're talking about the player necessarily, I do sort of see the point that Sean makes that we wouldn't miss Højbjerg in terms of on the pitch if we were to replace him with a player of similar quality. The leadership and obviously the fact that he would go to potentially a rival would be very impactful. But I do think there are players out there that you could probably find for a price that maybe would do one of the two things that Højbjerg does. So, and like you said, we are trying to improve that midfield as well with more than one player. So, as I've always said, you don't need to necessarily always replace one player with one player. You can find two players to fill the role of one. So, it's really good points that everybody makes. I think for now, I would say Conte is a very much a person based on trust. He needs to trust that you can play for him, and I think that's probably why Højbjerg might start. But I would not be against.
Here's last little point here. Højbjerg, the reason he started to get a bit of a hate is because Skip got injured and then he was playing next to Winks every single game. People started to doubt Højbjerg's ability. Bentancur comes in, he elevates Højbjerg's game. Højbjerg kind of has to look over his shoulder probably, kind of a bit, wow, this guy's going to make me probably not look as good. Towards the end of the season, you have to admit Højbjerg was putting in better performances and more impactful performances than Bentancur was. So when you kind of think about it, I know Bissouma is a better player than Højbjerg, but you've seen this before. Højbjerg's game gets elevated by other people. So once someone else comes in, he's just going to get better. I think I'm not even kidding. I think he's going to elevate his game even more.
So I think that's a good place to start on. Then I think we can all come to agreement that Reguilón. Now the question for me is: does Reguilón go on the bench, or is Reguilón going to be sold this summer?
Sold.
We all agreed that Reguilón probably will not be in the squad. So I think I can safely say goodbye to Reguilón in this squad here. I don't think Reguilón's going to be a part of the team. My next question is
30 million for him as well, like 25.
Get a good price. You could get a good price for him. You could get a good price for him, and it will be better to get a price for him now and then probably get a right back in, or potentially, like you said, another centre back in, because I know we're looking for two centre backs, but it's good business to do. So I think that's a good start to make. Coming in for him, do you think Perisic is going to come straight in, or do you think it's going to be Sessegnon to start the season? I'll give this one to you, Sid. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one.
I honestly think it depends on Sessegnon's fitness. Now, I saw a video this morning on Twitter, and it looks like he's training. He's doing his own personal training, and he wants to get back in shape. I think he was doing a lot of weight pulling and stuff like that. So they're saying that he's strengthening himself up. 2 days ago, I heard that they were saying that he's injured. So it's obviously all this trash on social media is absolute trash. So he's trying to get back to proper fitness. And I think this summer, he's going to come back as a fitter, stronger player. But Perisic, what he did for Conte at Inter Milan and what he continued doing, I can see Perisic coming straight in and starting as our preferred left wing back, because Conte trusts him 100%. He knows what he's all about. He knows he will follow instructions, and he knows he will do a job. And he's also very good at crossing, creating. So I think Perisic comes straight in.
Sean, do you agree or do you disagree? Sessegnon or Perisic? Oh, muted, Sean. Sorry.
Yeah, I muted myself there. I think he might actually start with Sessegnon because he's got some experience of working with him last season. But I think it won't be long before Perisic is in that position.
Jack, are you are sorry, Son, if you've got more points, sorry.
No.
Jack, you're the final vote. I mean, Perisic or Sessegnon, who do you think is going to be the
so
starter?
Tough because Sessegnon kind of struggled to stay fit as a backup left wing back. So I'm worried about this upcoming season, because probably this is kind of make or break, if probably people would agree with me when it comes to his injury record. Because if he continues to have more just like out for a month, out for 3 weeks, just every now and again when we need him, because that's what kept happening was Reguilón, I'll be honest, during the Jose season was really dependable, kind of, injury wise. Like he was there every game that we needed him. this last season, he had a few kind of injuries here and there, but the problem was that Session would be injured as well as a backup left wing back, which was kind of frustrating for me, I think. So I think he's going to probably play maybe half of the Premier League games, and then I could see Perisic playing like half the Premier League games. I actually could see them being rotated quite a lot, because Session, I'll be honest, has not been that dependable when it comes to playing week in, week out. And, we were probably kind of lucky that, and quite thankful that he did even, last the last few games,
I'm happy he did. And you know what? I think he's been sort of a player to turn my head a little bit. And I was ready to give up on Session. I was thinking, for the talent that he's shown, for the talent that he has, it's just not going to work out if a guy can't stay fit. And it's the type of injury he has as well. But I definitely have got time for Session, much more time for Session than Reguilon. And I do think it will be a 50-50 thing. For the sake of just because I want it to look neat, and I had to find a terrible picture of Perisic, I'm going to put Session in there. But the fact that you've mentioned the half games, I think, is a really good point, Jack. I think that's the whole point. That's what Conte wants, is rotation and the drop off to not be that much. So I'm definitely in agreement with that. I'm going to keep Højbjerg in there. I think Højbjerg is going to be fine in there. I just want to run through the bench and just see who else might need to go. Bergwijn, it almost seems like it's a guarantee that he's going to go now. I don't know if you've been looking at my little blinker at the bottom, but Mike Verwage, I think is how you pronounce his name, basically was mentioning about the Haller deal to Dortmund was quite a shock to Ajax and the board. They weren't really expecting that money to come in from Dortmund, and to see him go Haller for 30 million euros is now basically giving them the funds to really push for Bergwijn. And it does seem like that deal is going to go through now. I heard rumors that Anthony could have been involved in a swap deal, but never really believable to me. It always seems like they just didn't want to pay the money, and now they have got a bit of extra money. They've not really got any excuse now. So Bergwijn, Sean, I do want to get your opinion on this. It may affect where you want to put one of your positions, but Bergwijn going, do you think this is going to be the biggest loss of our team, or do you think it's going to be the money made from his performances? Do you think it's like, at least, we might make a lot more money than we could have made last season if we sold him?
Well, I mean, if we could extract all of that 30 billion that Dortmund have given them for Haller, then all well and good. This is the one that's breaking my heart, because I do see a player in that Bergwijn, and he's just not going to get the chance to do it for us. And it does mean that the fact that he is leaving before Lucas Moura is an absolute travesty.
You're not in the Lucas Moura sexual club, I think, or Sean, it sounds like you're not,
Lucas Moura, as I keep saying, under the Trades Description Act 1974, Brazilian footballer should be sent back to the manufacturer.
I mean,
does Emerson fall under that trade act
100%.
as well? Do you
Emerson does as well to a certain degree. We just have never not had any luck with Brazilian footballer.
You know what they're
going back to Gilberto, the only decent Brazilian we've ever had, and I love him to bits even to this day, is Sandro.
I was going to say, thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, one of the best long shots I've ever seen.
Sandro was great. That's a really good shot. I can't be mad at that. I mean, Bergwijn for me.
Name me a Brazilian player other than Sandro that you would gladly bring, count as a legend of the club. Gilberto, oh my God. Oh.
With Lucas Moura, Sean, I can't really disagree with you because I'm not really his biggest fan either, but there are a lot of people who are big fans of Lucas. But
is that just down to that one moment
it's the sentimentality of, the fact that he hasn't caused any issues, I think, ever in the dressing room. He's always been a big fan of Spurs since he's come here. Every manager has kind of relied on him whenever things have really hit the fan. I feel like Lucas has always kind of put in the 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 performances when nothing is going well for us, I would say.
And those people,
but that's the thing, though. He's only available for those 3-4 games in the season that he'll perform well. So I agree with Sean entirely. And he's not actually as useful to us as maybe we like to think. but I could see why people like him, and I could see why he's stuck around for so long, is because a lot of times it's about not really causing issues in the dressing room and putting in your best effort. And sometimes managers just keep you around for that reason. And I think that's why Lucas has stuck around. Whereas Bergwijn, no offense to him, thinks he's precious and posts things on Snapchat of, it's causing.
I mean, he got a mural before. I know it was for EA FIFA, but I mean, he literally got a mural in Spurs before Ledley King did. So, and if it wasn't for the outrage of the Tottenham community and Tottenham fan base, I don't know if they would have went and painted that Ledley King mural right after. So, I mean, he's got a lot of fans. I'm a big fan of Bergwijn. Sid, are you in agreement? Do you think Bergwijn is definitely out of the door? And also, I wanted to add on to that. Do you think that what Sean is saying is right? It should really be Moura that should be out the door. And could he be out the door as well this summer?
Right, so 3 things I'm going to say. First of all, right, I was outvoted at the left back, yeah. So people just remember, I did say Perisic is going to start, yeah.
You
so
did, I know you did.
But, do you know what? Moura for me, right? When I've seen him play, the thing is with Moura, I think towards the last season, towards the end, people started, he was becoming like Marmite. People either hated him or loved him. A lot of the games we saw, every time he got the ball just bounced off him. But I think what it is with him is he's still got that passion, right? And sometimes he did cause oppositions a bit of distress, because the way when he's got the ball, he just runs at them, and you don't know which way he's going to go, left or right, through the middle or whatever. So he caused a lot of chaos. So, and I think Conte likes that kind of thing. He's not going to be a starter, but as a squad player, he might be looking at that bench, right? Because last season we looked at that bench. We looked at that bench and he was like, who the hell are half of these players? Even if you keep him as a squad player, we know he wants to finish his career at Spurs or the best of it and then go back to Brazil at some point. So I think he'll be happy to sit on the bench. He knows the fans love him. He's got that in him that, people just love him because of the things he says with his wife when he's got his kids about and stuff like that. The joking around, the Leicester game where he pulled away Bergwijn and he's jumping all over him. So I think we'll just keep him to just strengthen the bench, right?
And also the morale in the dressing room, like you said as well.
Yeah, exactly.
He's an ambassador as well. Like if we are going to bring in another Brazilian into this club, he's always been an ambassador for the manufactured, the mismanufactured Brazilians that Sean is talking about, that factory. He's a good ambassador of that factory that Sean is talking about.
You might get Neymar. You never know. But Bergwijn, you know what? Unfortunately, he's just not had the run of the mill, has he? He's just not had that game time. I don't know whether again with Reguilon, is there something going on with Conte and Bergwijn? Is there something he's not liking?
I just think he wants game time, and I think that Conte can't promise him a starting position when the 3 in front of him are playing like that.
And he can't play right wing. That's his other problem. Like that was Bergwijn's issues.
So I just think it's a culmination. It's a culmination of a lot of things. It's not a bad thing to want to see somebody. I want to see Bergwijn go because I know he will do better at Ajax, and he actually will play really well at Ajax. And I'd actually like to see, and I'm pretty sure Sean, you would agree with that. You'd like to see a player that you have a bit of sentiment and a bit of a fondness to do well at another club and prove himself to all the people that kind of doubted him at Tottenham. So
of course, absolutely.
Unfortunately, guys, as much as we like him, as much as he probably was responsible for the best moment of last season in terms of euphoria at Leicester, he's going.
But one last thing,
sorry.
If
do I have to bring him back or can he go? Do I have to bring him back or can he go?
No, leave him there.
Oh, he's going. Sorry, Bergwijn.
If we're going to get rid of him, right, we need to get top dollar. We're not, like what they've offered us is a joke, right, for somebody of his potential quality. He's already doing it for Holland, in Netherlands, right? So we have to get the maximum we can get. And if they're not willing to pay us that money, we then use that to get Anthony as part of the deal. If not, then we say to them, this is how much you want. And Daniel Levy's got to sit down and do that one and say, right, this is my price. You're not getting him for any less unless you want to put Anthony into the equation. Because we're not going to be held to ransom for somebody of his quality. And like Sean and that was saying, he's probably going to get to Ajax and he's going to play out of his skin. And he's probably going to be one of them players like Foyth. Oh, shit, we shouldn't have got rid of him. But if you do, get the maximum.
Let me ask you a flash question, and I'm going to give you 3 seconds to give me an answer to it. In euros, how much would you think is an acceptable amount from Ajax?
For Bergwijn?
Sean, you first.
30.
Sid,
30. Yeah.
Jack.
25.
I was going to say 25 as well. That's quite funny. So it's around the same ballpark. I do think if anything more than if it was 25 and add-ons, I'd be happy with that. Like if you're not gonna give us 30 straight away, if you're gonna give us 25
from
down,
Ajax, 30 from a Premier League club. I took 30
I would.
from
Yeah,
Premier League club.
I'm down with that. I think 30 mil is
All right.
a good
What about here's a scenario. Eric Ten Hag wants him at Man United.
30.
45 for me, mate.
Yeah.
30.
I wouldn't want to sell to Man United. I think it sends a message just not to sell to Man United. I think it's just one of those things that you just add an extra 10 million onto that. But I think it's good. 30 million is a good price to sell for Bergwijn. Really quickly, so Moura, we're all agreeing that as much as we don't want Moura to stay and Bergwijn to go, it's realistic that Moura will probably be the player out of those guys to keep his place in that squad.
Yeah.
Cool. So Moura stays. Perisic obviously is going to be here. These guys quickly. I'm not even going to get on to Mr. Bissouma over here. He will be very much involved in the team going forward. Let's talk about Davinson first. Davinson Sanchez sparked a bit of a debate in the Paxton Road group chat. A few individuals don't think that Davinson Sanchez is worth keeping. A few individuals do think that Davinson Sanchez is worth keeping, and it's based on sort of his performances when Romero got injured towards the end of the season, and then the ones who don't want him are basically arguing the fact that he's not shown over the time that he's been here that he can do that. It's only in short periods of time. So I'll go through you all. I'll go to you first, Jack, about this. First of all, would you keep Sanchez at the club? And then second of all, if not, is he a priority to be sold first? Or if there's just an opportunity to sell him for a good price, you would then sell him? What's your thoughts on Sanchez?
That's a good question, the way you phrased that. Yeah. In an ideal world, I think I would sell him. But if I'm going to be realistic, I just don't really see it happening unless, like you said, someone comes in with a bid that we're just pretty all right with, and then we just are okay with parting ways with Sanchez, kind of, wipe our hands and just, move on and get a new center back for the future. And whereas I just feel like he's always going to be better than Joe Rodon, whether you think that or not. The manager thinks that. It seems like every manager is going to put Davinson Sanchez ahead of Joe Rodon, as much as I feel like that might pain people, just seems to be the case. And even to a degree, Antonio Conte started to kind of like Davinson Sanchez by the looks of it, kind of in the last, stages of the season, started calling him Patron, and things like that. So there seems to be maybe a bit of a relationship between the two. And so if anything, I would like to sell Sanchez. I feel like there's plenty that we could get for him. Like we could get 25 to 30 million for him, I think, pretty easily from
I think more. I honestly think more.
If not, and you could get a much better defender in return. But I just don't see Spurs doing it, if that makes sense. Like what I want to do is different from what I think Spurs might end up doing, because it does seem like Spurs do see him as this sort of auxiliary backup center back in this system, and maybe they see it as a headache, getting rid of him because it's just more work for Paratici. But if I'll be honest, I would like to get rid of him.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. I have been a big hater of Sanchez in the past, so much that I didn't even want to call him by his name. He was part of the number crew. But then I have to wholeheartedly put my hands up on camera, and say, when Romero got injured, I thought it was done. I thought it was well and truly over for Tottenham in top four. I didn't think there was a possibility of us getting in there without him in that back line. And Sanchez came into that team, and it didn't really feel like we'd lost Romero. So I've got a massive amount of respect for somebody who wasn't really favoured throughout the season to still come in and not drop off in performance that much and be an important part to us getting into that top four. So I know we shouldn't hold sentiment that much, and I know he has had a lot of bad performances, but I just think that's a big thing to not to feel wanted and still come into the team and the best centre back not feel like he's there. It would not feel like he's gone. It's a big achievement for me.
That is a
from
huge
Davinson Sanchez. So
the annoying thing, just quickly, is that you could sell him for. The annoying thing, I would say, is that you can sell him for about, I think, 20 to 30 million, whatever you get. And honestly, you could get a better center back for that price. But
Yeah.
I just don't see Spurs taking that option, which is unfortunate.
Sid, again, do you feel like Sanchez is a priority to sell? And again, with like Jack mentioned with Joe Rodon, is he the one to look to sell first because of his maybe bigger fee, or has he got more importance than others in that team? What's your thoughts on Sanchez?
Right, listen, Maguire's worth 80 million, right? And he's still at Man United, right? So, you know what? Sanchez didn't cost us, well, he cost us fair bit, but
42, I think it was, wasn't it?
Like I totally agree with what you said, Darius. Towards the end of the season, if we all dreaded it, and me and your dad had conversations where everyone went, "Oh no, Sanchez, oh no," but he done a stelling job and kept a couple of clean sheets as well on the way to getting a Champions League spot. But like Jack was saying, if we can get good dosh for him, 30 million, maybe 30 million, 25, 30 million, then there are better centre backs out there. But the problem is, this guy's got Premiership experience. Is Conte going to take that risk, getting rid of a Premiership experienced player to get in somebody new
to learn the system?
Who's going to come into the system, try and learn his system? You know what I mean? Whereas this player, he knows he's ready-made, can come straight into the team and do a job. Whereas somebody new is going to be taking a lot of time to get used to the system, get used to the players, and he might not work, and then you might get the backlash. So, and it's going to be one of them situations where, same with Moura and Bergwijn, I think Sanchez will stay, and I think Rodon will be the one that, in my opinion, will go, because I don't see him getting an opportunity. He's had the opportunities in certain games, but he's just chosen Sanchez over him. So I think Rodon will be the one that will leave the club.
Let me and that's a good point. Let me just sort of tie these two together. I'm gonna bring old Joe Rodon over here as well, so we can kind of kill two birds with one stone. When I ask you this, Sean, what's your thoughts on these two? Because in my opinion, and I don't know what you guys feel, but I do think that you would agree with me. I think one of these two aren't going to be at the club next season. Maybe both if they can get something done, but I definitely think one of them won't be here. Sean, just like a brief on what you think of Sanchez, and out of these two, who do you think is either the better one to leave, or in your opinion could get more money? Like, what is your reasoning for wanting to sell one of the two? Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's difficult because there's things I like about both of the players, and I do seem to remember when Sanchez first arrived and he had Vertonghen next to him. He was absolutely brilliant in that particular season. So I think I mean, if you ask Colombia fans, they always say that it's Mina that keeps Sanchez right. He does need leadership. He does need, and he gets that from Dyer, who can at least speak in his language. You probably get that from Rumour, or from other Spanish speaking players in the team. But and he would be the one that would be able to extract the most money, as Jack says. But I do feel that, unfortunately, Rodon, who has had very little help for a number of reasons. People forget that he actually had 2 fractured ribs during last season. And I don't know about you, trying to play in Conte's system with a fractured rib is probably not the easiest.
Trying to play with a fractured rib in general, mate. I think it's more than a tough task.
And get into your car.
And it takes a while to recover from that. So when he had it, when it was prime time to try him, he wasn't available. I do hope that we actually loan Rodon rather than sell him, but I do see that he will be gone this window. And Sanchez, if a Spanish club came in with a mega offer, but they haven't got the money. Let's be honest. None of the leagues, the main European leagues, which is where we want our players to go because we don't want to strengthen our rivals, have got any money. We haven't got the money that we want.
It's only Monaco showing the interest at the moment, Sean. Monaco have shown interest, haven't really made any bid. That's probably because they just got 100 million from Real Madrid for Tchouaméni. So that's the only team that's interest. But please carry on.
Yeah, I to be honest, I would keep Sanchez.
Yeah. Rodon, I'm not actually entirely sure honor Rodon's contract length. His expires June 30th, 2025. So he still has 3 years left on his deal. Like he's not going anywhere. I think you mentioned a good point about the loan deal. If they're gonna get rid of him, they'll probably loan him out to a club, and if he has a big season at that club, they'll probably end up buying him. So yeah, man, it's hard. It's really hard. I actually don't know what to go with this one. I'm gonna
Did he sign Joe Rodon on like a 6-year deal when he came.
must have been
No.
it must have been
But
5
you
or
can-
6.
you
He
can say
signed him, and then he
it's
went back. Did he go back to Swansea?
Swansea.
No.
No, he didn't.
Was it a
No.
5-year deal?
It must have been 5 years, and he must have been here for 2 years.
That's insane.
It's just crazy. He's still got 3 years
Why?
left. So
we
I think-
signed Basuma
Yeah, but
on a
rem-
5-year deal. Why did we sign Joe Rodon on?
No,
a
but
5-year?
remember what normally happens is that we sign them for 4 years, and there's an option for a 5th year. So he may actually only have a couple of years left.
He signed a 5-year. Yeah, he signed a 5-year contract.
signed a 5-year contract. Wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Steve
crazy.
Ritchie.
I'm gonna make the decision based on what I heard from you guys' answers, and it seems like Sanchez is gonna be the one to stay out of these guys. So fortunately, with the magic finger, Rodon's out of here now.
See, we
He
could
is-
even loan Rodon to Nottingham Forest, and at least that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good club that he should consider that actually, because Steve
Yeah.
Cooper plays football that I think would actually benefit Joe Rodon. Maybe the high line not as much, because Forest do like to play a little bit of a high line, but I do think Joe Rodon would be quite good for Forest. And finally, another one that's quite difficult. I'm not going to spend too long on this one. I don't want to spend too long on this one, but very quickly, guys. This is going to be a flash one. I'll give you about 30 seconds. I'm not going to give you 3 seconds. Sean, actually, I'll start with you, Jack, because I'll start with Sean first. Jack, Emerson, do you think Emerson is going to stay? Simple question, yes or no?
No.
No. Sid, do you think any reason to see Emerson staying at this club?
No.
No, Sean, are we all in agreement?
Yeah, I don't think he's staying.
Unless he pulls off that Richarlison move for us, Agent Emerson. Agent Emerson on the
forgot
pitch.
he is
Another Brazilian.
I forgot he is Brazilian, to be fair. I mean, we are linked with a few Brazilians. One of them, Rafinha, isn't actually, I would say, I'm going to call them British Brazilians, because they play for a Sunday league team sometimes. So
Yeah.
I don't think Rafinha is a pub league Brazilian, as I'm going to call them. But no, Emerson, I think it's hard, man, because again, like, he came into the squad and he really put in some good performances towards man of the match performances toward the end of the season that were important to us getting points on that board. But I've seen enough technically from Emerson to prove to me that he ain't gonna really do much more unless he really changes a lot about his just natural game. And I just don't think that you can't do that with coaching. Conte's the best guy at coaching a player, but I just don't think you can coach somebody to be able to cross the ball and have technical ability. It's just difficult. So, I mean, a team like Atletico Madrid, a team like that, I don't think would actually be too bad for him. I think he'd actually suit a team like that where it's defending, but it's also a lot more positional and not necessarily a lot to do with the ball being at his feet. So, unfortunately, again, magic finger, bye-bye Emerson. So now we're left with 4 players on our bench. And I'm going to say a team that I probably would assume will start next season if all goes well. This is the last part of the show. This is where we choose the positions that we think are going to be prioritized in the market. Obviously, it's 3-2-1. So number 3 is your third least. Number 2 is your first. Number 2 is your second, and number 1 is your first. I'm gonna go with 1 first. I think it's easier to start with the most prioritized position that you think, because then at least you can work your way down and obviously if you want to spend your big money on that position, you can. So I want to come to all of you and get all of your opinions on what position out of all those 11 there is the most important. And then if you do have any names that you can think of that you want, or if you have any information from journalists that you found out about players, then please let me know. So Sid, I want to come to you first. What is your number 1 position in this squad in a 3-4-3 that you think we should go out and prioritize? And like you said, it doesn't have to be necessarily somebody to replace someone here. It could be rotation. It could be anything. But what do you think is the number 1 position to go out and get as the next player?
There's 2 obvious positions, right, for me, which is a left centre back and a right back. But the question is, which is most important for me, Davies has done a grand job at left centre back. I know he's knocking on a little bit, but when the push comes to the shove and Conte's put him in there, he's done really well and he's put in some performances. So as much as it is a priority, I think if we don't get in a left centre back, I think Conte would be happy to wait until January. But I think the biggest priority for me, and I don't know if you guys would agree, is a right back, because now we've got rid of Emerson Royal as well. Doherty's injured at the moment, so is he the ACL or I think what it is? So we don't know how long he's going to be. It could be longer than we're all anticipating. He might even be September, October. We don't know. So I think for me, right back is a very, very high priority for me, number one position. Because as much as Doherty, even when he played going forward, he created a few, but not enough. So we need a creative right back, that's wing back, that's going to go up and down, defend, and create loads of goals. So I think right back for me, right wing back's number one.
Right wing back. That's obviously that's a great place to start. In terms of individuals, I know we've had links with excuse me a second. I know we've had links with players such as Singo. Who else have we been linked with in this market?
Mr. Spence.
Mr. Spence, obviously. Perisic, I guess you can class as a right wing back. I know the Spurs fan base have been making a lot of edits of Hakimi in that new Tottenham kit, and don't get me wrong, Hakimi looks amazing in that Tottenham kit. But I think that is a lot of wishful thinking. But is there any of them, any if you could pick realistic, unrealistic, I'm not bothered, a player that you think would come in and do that job? Who would it be?
I have kind of one outside of kind of left field here that I feel like could potentially happen. There's that guy that Romero is pretty good friends with over at Udinese, the Argentinian, who's over in the Serie A, Molina, and he scored a lot of goals actually from right wing back. And I'm kind of in Sid's boat here, where it's kind of painful to choose like between center back and right wing back is the most difficult one. But I guess that's the whole point we do this, is, to make the tough decisions. I'm in Sid's boat, where right wing back at the end of the day, it's the one that's needed the most dramatic improvement right away. Whereas I know the center backs need improvement too, but we did concede, not too many goals last season. We were still one of the better defenses of last season with that back three there. Don't get me wrong, that back three needs improving right away, but it still was good enough, to get us a lot of, important defensive performances that we did rely upon. Whereas the wing backs were so poor in certain games that other teams were basically targeting the wing backs, when we had the ball. They were willing to let us have the ball out wide. They were willing to let Emerson or Sessegnon do whatever they wanted, because they knew that they didn't really pose any threat, from those wide areas. They knew they couldn't really put in a good ball. They knew they couldn't really take on their man. So if you ask me, what you really need is just like a world-class sort of wing back out in that sort of right wing back spot. But the problem is that, is Hakimi really available? No, I don't really think he is. You can't get Theo Hernandez. You can't get Theo Hernandez. You can't get Alphonso Davies. So the big problem is that even though I think we need a world-class wingback, I don't even know if there is a world-class wingback available, in the market at this moment in time. Not saying that there aren't world-class wingbacks out there. I'm just saying I don't think they're actually available, to go after.
And the other thing as well, Jack, is Spence. I know everyone's going on about Spence, but I still think if he's going to come in, I think he's going to come in as an understudy to someone. I still think
that worries me as well, because I feel like we need to have faith in him that he is actually the best one. And if he isn't, like you said, a starter right away, that would worry me. Well,
it is as I said, Sky Sports Lyle mentioned this morning on Twitter that Daniel Levy is sort of the main negotiator or person involved in that deal with Spence. And then a lot of people I know probably is true that he is the reason why it's taking so long, but it does seem interesting that it is a Levy orchestrated signing. And I think that he probably is seeing the homegrown aspect, the 21 years old, the fact he's won things, and thinking, well, even if this Conte thing doesn't work out somehow, I've got a kid who has got a lot of talent who I know that will probably do well with most managers. So I do actually believe it is probably a what you call a Levy signing. And is it a bad Levy signing? I don't think it is. But again, like you said, I mean, if you're going to buy the kid and you're going to make him, you've got Dortmund, Newcastle, Roma, teams like that looking for him. If you're going to convince a kid to come to Tottenham and play, you have to basically tell him you're going to start a lot of games, and to go out and get Spence and then the next, couple of weeks, then get somebody like, if it ever was to happen to Hakimi, like a big name player like that, I don't think Spence would feel very good about that one. So it's a good point to make. Sean,
sorry. Last thing. The other thing I was going to say, Darius, as well is, do you remember when we signed Rodon? How much they were all saying top player. He was playing out of his skin for Swansea. Blah blah blah. He's going to come straight into the first team. Look what happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
So Spence, you know what I mean? Do we want that to happen to Spence as well?
Good point. I think 21, can't forget, he's a young guy, and like you said, those young players, Sessegnon and Perisic is a great combination to have, because it's a experience and it's a young guy learning off each other, but both very high quality players. Sean, number one for you, are you in agreement, or do you have another position that you think we must target?
Yeah, I'm going completely left field here.
Oh, I would love it.
Go on.
I would say our priority is a striker.
Now, before you say that, sorry, Sean, is that an out-and-out striker, or is it, like everybody's been saying, a versatile striker?
I want a Lautaro. I want a player of that ilk, because why do we think that Kane and Son are not replaceable, or that they don't need motivation? I want us to have a real statement signing which says to Harry Kane, if you want that record, you're going to have to fight for it. And I want a striker. I can't believe that we've got away for so long with just Harry Kane. And I look back, but other teams don't have one striker. And the other teams win things.
That's a really good point. I agree with everything. And the thing that I sort of highlighted from what you just said there the most was the statement signing. As cheesy and as corny as people may think it is to sort of just spend money and spend it big to send a message, I think it really does send a message. And if you do it correctly, it really does just put out that fear in the other teams. And like you said, that determination and that motivation from within as well. Because if you see an £80 million, £90 million player come in, you know the club is not messing around when they do that. You know that they're going to...
Harry Kane is on record saying how many times, if the club doesn't match my ambition, I'm away. Well, here you are, mate. There's a player who's as good as you, better than you.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that shout. I really do think it's a great... And like you said, it seems like they're also going down that path as well, because the players we've been linked with, while not heavy, and it doesn't seem like we've been making bids, Richarlison, Rafinha, Martinez, these are players who are players that you don't expect to buy to become sort of rotation players, but that's not the mentality that Conte is having. He's made this clear. His mentality is, you all fight for your place in this team, and I'm going to improve this team regardless. So if you're not going to keep up, you're going to fall behind. So I think it's a great shot. I think striker is a position that, and like you said, Sean, me and you mentioned the annual Harry Kane injury that he had actually missed last season. And had he not missed that last season, I think we'd be taking a lot of stick from Arsenal fans about being in 5th place. So we do have to count our lucky stars that he didn't get injured last season.
That's because he didn't play for a third of the season.
He mentally, that is very true. So the World Cup, Sid, again, great point to make. That World Cup's going to do a lot to players. I mean, you're not a normal sort of human being. You're not biologically made up to be a human being if you could survive playing Premier League football, a week break, World Cup, a week break, straight back into the Premier League. I don't think it's physically possible to do that. So I think you're going to see a lot of players fall just down to fatigue and just pure agony, I think, from pain. So from pain of playing so much. So great shout on the striker. Jack, I know you sort of briefly mentioned you were debating between right back and centre back. Is it right back? Is it centre back? Or is it, like, as Sean sort of sparked another left field choice for you?
No, I agreed with Sid. At the end of the day, the centre backs do need upgrading. But if anything, like, you just look at Matt Doherty. I mean, do you really want Matt Doherty to be your best right wing back available coming into the Champions League nights? And definitely not the case for me. I would love for him to be the backup right wing back for those Champions League nights, to come off the bench, but certainly, not the starter. And that's why I would say at the end of the day, it is priority right wing back, because we just need an injection of quality there. We need an injection of class there. I think Matt Doherty's had his moments, but we just couldn't, in any case, I think reliably expect this guy to be, the main man next season, especially if we're pushing for trophies. So, it's going to have to be right. And also because, like I said before, teams have targeted us because our right wing back and our left wing back are not actually as quality as we might think that they are. Teams really did expect, maybe us to play through the middle. They didn't really think we had any sort of threat out wide. So that's why it was easy for teams like Brighton, Brentford, Southampton and whatnot to play against us, because they just clogged up the middle, sat back, and then just gave the ball to Emerson and Sessegnon, and they couldn't do anything with it. And I think that's kind of a big concern for me next season, because there was a blueprint to beat Spurs. There really was. And it just depended on whether a team decided to use it or not. And I think a big part of that blueprint in beating Spurs was realizing that the right wing back couldn't actually do anything that could really cause any real harm. And so Doherty, he had his moments, but certainly isn't going to be, the main man next season in that position. That would scare me. So it's going to have to be right wing back priority.
So we've got two right wing backs. We've got, in my opinion, a great shout from Sean that I wasn't expecting in striker. For me, I would actually go on record to say I was actually saying centre back. I was thinking left centre back throughout the whole of sort of this early transfer window, that I was just thinking to myself, if you can get a left centre back, and I'm not saying Ben Davies has not played well. Ben Davies has been, in my opinion, probably top 3 best players, or most consistent players at least, in that team. But I was just thinking, if you can get a left centre back in, or a centre back in who is world class, you've got 2 world class centre backs in that back line, it's going to be hard for any team to really get many goals past them. So I was just thinking, the attack's fine, the midfield is good, the fullbacks I think we will improve, but if you're going to go and do something and prioritize something, make that defense as good as possible. The cliche saying defense wins leagues. So that was my priority. But I think for me now, it's a forward or a right back as well. I don't know. I'll probably have to say right back, but it's just, there's no world-class right backs, like you've said, that are available there. So who I would go for, I couldn't tell you. The forward options there's much more forwards in the market that you could look at. And like you said, if one option wasn't available, the next one could come up. With a right back, if your main one's there, I think the drop off to your second choice is going to be quite significant. So I'm going to say right back, but I think that shout from Sean is amazing. Number 2, I'm actually going to start with number 2. So if I've said right back for my number 1, my number 2, I would then, in my opinion, go for... I'll be real with you. I would go for a right winger. If I've gone for a right back, I'd go for a right winger. I'm completely revamping that right side. And it's not even revamping to say that the players that have come in aren't good enough. But again, if Kulusevski gets injured, or if Kane gets injured, should I say, I think Son moves into the middle and Perisic comes onto the left wing, which then leaves obviously Moura as the only attacking option on that bench. Then if Kulusevski was to get injured and you've sort of either got Kane out or Kane's coming back into injury, there's nobody really on that right side on the pitch, on the bench, to cover for Kulusevski and to bring the level and quality that he does bring. So I think Son might potentially be our backup striker in that sense next season. And I think to go and get a right winger like Rafinha, who I think has been linked with Arsenal quite heavily, but it does seem like Spurs are keeping tabs on what's happening. If you go and get somebody like a Rafinha in, I think that you feel a lot more safer to play these players, and the drop off, like I said, is not that bad. If Kane gets injured, Son goes to the middle, Perisic goes on the left, and you still have Rafinha on the bench in case Kulusevski has to play too many games. If Kulusevski gets injured, it's a straight swap. And I also think Rafinha could do a role in that 10 role if it came to it as well. So that's my reasoning behind saying right back first and then right wing second. And then I'd just love to come to you guys to hear what your second one is. So I'll come to you first, Sean. You obviously said striker first. Are you going to the defense then afterwards? You've got that big name striker, or Is there still more jobs to be
yeah,
done?
I think then I'm going to have to address the right wing back. Yeah. I mean, we say that Hakimi is not available or he's untouchable or whatever. The word in Paris is he's not happy. He's not happy. You know, and an unhappy player can be persuaded. You know, I moved on. So why shouldn't we look at someone like a Hakimi? Because he's the best. He's the best in the world.
He is, and he's 23 years old.
And he knows Conte. He knows Conte, and that, you know, that's really, really important. So let's aim high. You know, what is it? What is the old quote? You know, if we, you know, we aim for the heights, and if we fail, there'll be some glory even in our failing. Let's go for Hakimi.
I love it. I love it. So Sean has literally pulled the trigger on 2 massive signings. Martinez, Hakimi. And you know what the crazy thing is about it, guys? Had we done this show 2-3 months ago, we'd be like, yeah, this is just a pipe dream. But we literally have got 150 million to spend. So that's actually realistic. These signings could happen. I think there's a lot of money to be spent. I don't think maybe all of it will be spent without obviously players being sold. But again, 2 big signings like that is definitely on the cards, in my opinion. So striker, Martinez, right back, Hakimi. I am just blown away by that, Sean.
It's got fine taste. I like it, Sean. It's got expensive taste.
It's elite taste. It's elite taste. You can see that the manager.
Well, hold on. Are we not in the Champions League?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not our money.
I can't argue.
You know.
I'm not arguing.
Money. Have we not got?
He's being taken out to dinner. He's picking out, the most expensive. He wants the filet mignon.
Absolutely.
He wants the most expensive bottle of wine.
We've got a stadium that's bringing in money. We've got a stadium that's bringing in money even as we speak. Lady Gaga is probably practicing there now, you know.
Sean, it's that hat, mate.
That's right. This is his going out. This is his transfer market hat.
This is his dealings hat.
The window shopping.
I want the best for my team.
That is great. As great options, to be fair, from Sean. Can't argue. So striker, right back for Sean.
I'll take Jed Spence though.
I will take him as well. I've gone right back, right wing for my 2. Sid, you obviously went right back first. Where are you going next to then improve?
Right. So listening to yourself, listening to Sean, right, absolute makes sense. Yeah. Looking at what you've both said, especially what you've said, Darius, about the Kulusevski business and the Kane and that. So my theory here now, right, is if for example, you're saying Son's going to be used, if Kane gets injured, you're going to put Son up top, right? Then that leaves Kulusevski there. You can bring in Perisic if you want. If Kulusevski gets injured, then who do you bring in? So it's one of them, innit? So I now going with Sean and listening to you as well, Darius, because I'm going on the assumption if Kane gets injured, we can now put Son up top and we bring in a Rafinha style or a Richarlison. So a striker would now be my second priority because purely of what you two said. Kane gets injured, Son goes up top, you bring in Richarlison, you bring in Rafinha, that fills in that spot. If Kulu gets injured, you can bring in Perisic as well, and Rafinha's there, or Richarlison's there as well. So a striker now has become my number 2.
So it's just
and you think about it, this season, unlike any other season, is weekend, midweek.
Exactly.
Midweek. You know, there's no breaks, there's no weeks off.
This is it. And you can also use Kane. If you bring in a class striker like Martinez or somebody like that, or even Richarlison or whatever, you can then drop Kane if you want to and push them like Martinez forward and just let Kane drop in and do the passing into him to score the goal. So it gives that Kane a little bit of a rest as well, to stop. I know he wants to break the records, but you've got alternatives there. You've got options there. So I think, striker, I think that hat has worked, Sean. So I'm going for striker as number 2 priority.
Well, you guys are on the same wavelength. You've literally just swapped your positions and obviously prioritize either one. So you're thinking on the same wavelength. Jack, are you going to make it 3 out of 3 or 3 out of 4, should I say, or are you going for something else? You've gone for right back first as well, didn't you?
I don't know if I can disagree with that argument about, bringing in that forward that, actually provides competition that at the end of the day is needed for Sonny and Harry Kane, because they have had sort of the privileged, position of not really ever having to look over their shoulder. So I can't disagree with that. At the same time, though, I mean, I don't even know how to phrase this, but there is only one left-sided center back at the end of the day, so you do need to get a left-sided center back. It's my same argument with the right wing back. It's like you just need to get one. Like you can't leave this market without one, and that's maybe how I'm I kind of see Sean's argument, because we're kind of talking about winning games, like what do you need in order to win games? He's kind of going about it with that sort of argument. I'm going about it where, like, if the window ended tomorrow, what would be the ones that I desperately need, through the door if it were to end tomorrow? And for me, the first two priorities would be right wing back and then a left-sided center back, because we can't go next season without a right wing back, and we can't go next season without a left-sided center back to compete with Davies or, step ahead of Davies. So that's how I'm thinking about it. But maybe I'm thinking about it a bit too kind of simply or kind of elementary, if you know what I mean.
Defensive overhaul. Don't forget, guys, I think Sean understood the message very, very, very well, because I never actually put a price tag on these players that you have to buy. It's just priority. It's just who you want first. So you could get 350 million players. You could get 300 million players if you think. It's completely up to you. So no, I'm the defensive overhaul, making sure that's done first, and then we move forward. I like your thought process, Jack. So at the moment, I'm right wing, right back, right wing. We've got Sean saying striker and then right back, and then we've got Sid saying right back then striker, and then Jack is going for the defensive overhaul of a right back or right wing back and a left centre back. So before we do our final one, I do just want to talk to the guys in the comment section and let them know that I actually have been reading you guys, but I didn't want to block Jack's face out, so I didn't put them in the chat. So let's just go through these. Let's see what all of the Paxton crew has to say. To be fair, there's a lot of you guys here. I'm very, very happy. We still got 44 people here, so that is bloody amazing. Jazz has been here since the start, so big up to you, Jazz. Rumblings that we're looking at Sasha Kalajdzic, I think is how you pronounce the name. Very good player, very tall player. I actually think that'd be really good. It'd be similar to sort of Dzeko at Inter, or Lukaku at Inter when Conte was here. So I like that. I think that's a good shout.
He's actually quite Peter Crouchy. I'm not even kidding. He is
very, very lanky guy. He's young though, isn't he, Jack?
Tall, dangly, kind of, lanky sort of kind of guy. And he doesn't have he's not as robust or something as maybe other big tall strikers. Yeah, he's he's like a giraffe. Yeah, kind of like Peter Crouch.
Talking of danglies, what's happening to Weghorst at Burnley?
I don't know.
I heard some crazy theory. That the reason nobody's really going after him, and the reason he even went to Burnley in the first place, is apparently he might be anti-vax or something like that. So he can't get into big clubs because of that. A lot of big clubs are kind of turning away from him because of that.
Interesting.
I've heard. I even heard that was one of the reasons he left Germany in the first place.
Interesting. That's a good point to make.
It's an inside theory. So we've heard.
Ask Doherty's knee. I'm so sorry there's no context on that one, Jazz, but I'm pretty sure that would have been funny had we known. Big up Simon. Long supporter. I think a couple of big surprises coming in. I think there's going to be a statement signing, and I mentioned on Twitter earlier a few days ago, maybe yesterday. I also think that it's very, very, very strange to me that Tottenham are monitoring all of Arsenal's targets. I think that Paratici and Levy are very bitter and very hurting about what happened with them and Luis Diaz, and the fact that Liverpool sort of let Tottenham do all the negotiating and then basically swooped in and took the player off them. I think Tottenham are going to try and go for somebody like a Rafinha or even Lisandro Martinez. I think they're going to try and take one of Arsenal's targets to try and send a message of power in North London. And these targets are good players as well. So I wouldn't even be mad if they were to come to Tottenham. But I think there's going to be a big surprise as well in this market. Lee, the Dorset Spur, big up yourself. Kane can drop deeper as well. Imagine an out-and-out striker being serviced by Kane. That is very, very scary to think about, because it's not like he would have to stay outside the box either. So that's a really good thing to think about. Hotspur Hustler will be isn't now, we need now. Will be isn't what we need now. I want to challenge and win the league and cups with the UCL. We aren't going to do that with Spence. I see that point. I do see that point. But at the same time, he is a very good player. And I would much rather have Spence and another right back than sort of, Spence and Emerson as his backup. So I do see what you mean. I do get that. I do think that makes sense. But I don't think Spence is a bad player nonetheless. I wouldn't be mad at him joining the club. David's been here since the start as well. Big up, David. Forget about the number of games. It's about the amount of high-level, stressful games. World Cup, Champions League. It's true. These players need to perform for these games, and they are the important games. So good point. Jazz again about the role players up top. Big Chilean and Bayern midfielder would fit the bill. I hope you're talking about Leon Goretzka, because I think Leon Goretzka is an incredible talent and would be perfect for Conte. It's a need, but you have more choices. True. What's the chances of getting Hakimi? Me being realistic, if we were to throw money at PSG, I think they'd consider it, but I don't think Hakimi, it would be easy to convince Hakimi to join, and I think it would take a lot of money. So I'd say like 10%. I don't know about you guys. I'm saying 10% chance of us getting Hakimi. Maybe even less.
Yeah.
Son at centre forward diminishes his effectiveness. Yuck. Makes him less effective, but it doesn't mean that he's not effective. I think it's still just as he's still a completely capable striker, and I think a lot of players would still fear him if he played up front, and that's only if Kane gets injured. To be fair, it's not sort of prioritizing to put Son in that position. So, yeah, saying that Rafinha to Arsenal is being done at 60 mil. Whew, it's a lot of money for Rafinha, but I would be very jealous if that does happen. I can't lie to you. That's Rafinha.
That right wing back is up, or that right wing is up for grabs over at Arsenal, like with Nicola Pepe, kind of proving to not be well liked over there. So it's kind of up for grabs.
I think that's a good shot. I know Saka's playing there, but
left. He can move. He can play anywhere. He can play over the whole system. So it makes sense.
Hakimi would be your big money play. I think a lot of people would, just because he's one of a kind, isn't he? You're not really gonna. I know you sort of said Lautaro, Sean, but there's other strikers that you could get for that price as well who are very good, like Lautaro, but there's not many right backs like Hakimi. So, yeah. Who needs Levy when you got Sean? I completely agree with that. Makes sense, David. Is Lautaro good enough? I want Mbappe. He can play backup. He can play left wings. You know what? Mbappe wouldn't even be able to get into our 16. So I don't know why you're saying that, Alexander Hilton. Lautaro is good enough, but Mbappe, I don't think Tottenham need to think about Mbappe. I think we've got bigger priorities to be worrying about. Isn't that right, guys? Chelsea will overpay for Richarlison as well. Looks like they're going to get Sterling potentially as well. So, I mean, don't know how.
Chelsea's a crazy thing, isn't it? I mean, they've let go of Buck and Granit who's done all their
they're all going
in the last few days. That's a really.
It's a whole new thing, isn't it?
I think it was inevitable with obviously the new ownership, but
exactly.
I've been speaking to a few friends, Chelsea fans, and it seems like Todd Bowley's basically trying to run the whole club at the moment. So it's a little bit of a mess at the moment. But I'm not gonna get into Chelsea. I don't even think they need to think about us. Florentino's head would explode. I'm hoping that's Florentino Perez. Maybe Spurs turn to Jesus. Who knows? I wouldn't be mad at Jesus. Some people said they would.
Another Brazilian.
There's another Brazilian. So Sean would have to do the Brazilian test with him. At least 50 kick-ups, and then you pass it.
Can he trap a bag of cement? Yeah.
You don't do that. You don't take from Son from his best position to play up front. This is Saturday morning football. It was only if Kane got injured. That was the only mention. I think that if we're not going to get a striker, that the reason why we don't get a striker is because obviously Conte knows Son is good enough to play as a striker. Jazz said his number 2 would be left centre back. I think that was yours, wasn't it, Sean? Was it Sid? You went for the left.
No, it wasn't me. I was number 3.
Oh, no, Jack, you went for left centre back. Sorry, Jack, you went for left centre back. So did
Jazz.
Jack went for the left centre back as well, as Jazz did. So definitely good shouts there. Who of your current centre backs is good at playing out from the back? Romero. Dyer. Davis, I think, is even decent as well. Dyer, to be fair, sometimes I think maybe Dyer.
If he's allowed 12 touches on the ball.
Davis, I think, is underrated with his distribution, to be fair. So I think
Davies is underrated, actually, on his distribution.
I think most of our centre-backs...
Hold on. Just finish your sentence there. Davis is underrated.
In general.
End of sentence. I think he's underrated.
Yeah, I think you're right, Sean, actually.
And this is a good point to make, sort of, when we mention the left centre-back. When we're buying a left centre-back, I'm not buying it because Davis hasn't been good enough. I want Davis to have a bit of competition, and he played most of the season.
He's the only one who can play out there. That's the problem. We were lucky that he was fit for so long and so consistently because he was the only one that could play out there.
Very true.
Sorry.
I was going to say, I read somewhere, I don't know if you guys read it, about Bastoni. They were saying somebody in Italy said that although he's not one of the best defenders, right, it's his ability to pass the ball and run out with the back. That's what Conte's looking at.
He's a great defender. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He's a great defender, but when it comes to Bastoni's ability to, like you just said, distribute the ball from the back, bring the ball forward from the back, the only person I see do better than that in that left centre back role is Gvardiol, and he's better at bringing the ball out. Bastoni, I've seen Bastoni sort of left-sided, just like same length, same sort of distance where the centre circle is from that left side, chip a ball into the final third like a centre midfielder would. And the ability or sort of the opportunity that gives you for your centre back to be able to create like that. If you've got a player who can create in every single position, you don't know what to do. You don't know where that killer ball is going to come from. So I think Conte, that's why he wants those centre backs to have attacking prowess.
I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but the story today is that Skriniar to PSG is the deal that's done.
It's looking likely. 60 million is a lot for Skriniar as well, I think.
And I think our chances of getting Bastoni are even less than our chances of getting Hakimi.
Yeah,
you know.
I think
we need to. We'll have to accept that we need to move on.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Conte will have a very close substitute too.
Jazz said Liverpool scouted Diaz for years. All Tottenham
spot on,
Jazz.
Absolutely spot on. That's what happened.
And to be fair, that's a good point. But at the same time, what I'm saying is the only reason Liverpool went in for him in that January is because, like you said, they saw Tottenham making that move. Tottenham had, and if you look at it, the fee negotiated with Liverpool was almost the exact same structure as the Tottenham deal, because they let Tottenham do the dirty work, the hard work, and because they knew that this is the player they want, they just had to get the fees sorted out, and that was it. So I think they just wanted Tottenham to basically try and convince Porto to lower their fee, and then Porto couldn't say anything to Liverpool when they came with the same fee. So yeah, great point, Jazz. Spurs Talk Show, big up. Thank you for tuning in to us. David, we didn't rob the eyes of Liverpool. They attracted for 12 months. It was us who would try to do it to them. At the end of the day, they had made no effort to sign him. We've been tracking players for years. For how long? How many times
they've been tapping him up? I mean,
let's
call it what it is. It's tapping up. They've been tapping him up for ages, and it was just a question of he would have been going in this window to Liverpool.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it would have been this summer.
Yeah. So we just brought their spending forward. So hopefully it weakens them.
40% depends on new manager. Hakimi, there's more chance of Arsenal winning the Champions League. So basically saying 0% then, my friend. Big up Sean. Obviously, Jack, big up Sean. Jesus isn't a messiah. I know Jesus isn't a messiah. Well, it depends which one you're talking about.
He's a very naughty boy.
I think Jesus would be great. I think he covers that sort of positional sort of flexibility that we're looking for. Dyer, Jacko, Jack, you know my choice. Dyrus Davis. He must be. Bingo, yeah. Big up Phil. Look at these guys, man. Chevallo. Have I said that right? Please tell me I've said that right. Chevallo. I'm going to go with that. Why have none of the panel spoke about us signing a creative midfielder? Last season, when the teams have played deep, we found it hard to break them down. Anybody want to take that?
We haven't finished yet. We haven't done number 3.
That's my third.
I think.
Should we move on to it now?
Yes, let's move on.
I think just one thing. We're hampered by the fact that we're sticking with 3-4-3.
I'm only doing this to be difficult. And that is me being difficult. I'm saying as a starting position, because like you said, the flexibility would be there with a position. But yeah, that is me being difficult, Sean. So unfortunately, you are going to have to put up with that. I cannot change my rules partway through the stream. So let's move on. Let's get
Dictator Darius.
Position 3, because it's a perfect segue. And I'm going to start with you, Jack, because it does say right here, I'm going to block your face one more time really quickly, that your top 3 are right wing back, left centre back, and then creative mid. Can you please explain to the lovely people why creative mid is your third choice? And if you have any players, because I know that you've got a lot of players in mind, could you give me any names that you'd want as a priority?
Too many for creative mid. That's why I think the creative mid is such an interesting one, because I think Christian Eriksen, it makes sense to sign him, but it's such a saturated position in my eyes, out there in the market. Whereas like we just said with right wing back, the right wing back market is a lot tougher to navigate, where I think the creative mid department is like quite easy, actually. I mean, if you ask me, I think you can honestly pick plenty of good creative mids out there and you would get really good return in that sort of 3-5-2 that maybe Conte might offer. But the reason I've kind of gone for it at third is just because it kind of just connects to my argument about what we saw with Brighton, Southampton, Brentford, these teams that had this blueprint to beat Spurs. They just made it so obvious that all it takes to beat Spurs is just to clog up the middle, sit back, try to get them kind of on the counter, give them the ball. Don't let them, give you the ball, let them have the ball, and then just, try to let them hurt you out wide. And I think if we have right wing backs that are quality, that actually have real delivery, actually have real ability to take on their man and kind of cause chaos in the wide areas, that is going to fix a huge problem with that blueprint. But then another part of the blueprint that was out there to beat Spurs was just because we don't exactly have a player that can really pick up the ball in sort of that half space between kind of, the back five or the back four and the midfield that can really pick out passes. So I think for me, it's going to be the creative mid. It's part of that whole blueprint that we saw when it came to beating Spurs. So the creative mid is a huge part of that.
That's something I can't really argue with. I've just seen a few names in the comment section. I know that you're obviously familiar with these players. Marcel Sabitzer obviously just joined Bayern Munich, but doesn't seem like Bayern Munich really want him there. I think he's actually only available for something like 14 million euros, which I think is ridiculous. But it doesn't seem like he's worked out. He's played everywhere. Honestly, he's played everywhere. He can play as a cam. He played
especially
as a right
for Austria.
midfield.
He is, especially for Austria. He's like their number 10. The ball goes through him, every time. I would say with him too, what's interesting is that he definitely has like a bit of an engine as well. Sabitzer, like he does like to get up and down, and kind of,
good
track
age as
back.
well. 28
Also because he's a bit
of
of a hothead the way I think he plays. So he's a bit kind of Carlos Tevez sort of esque, where he'll kind of just chase after a player randomly. So he could be kind of interesting for that 3-5-2. And he also kind of like Ericsson, like he has really good, delivery. He has really good free kicks. And he has really good, I would say his long shot is probably actually better than Eriksen's.
It's incredible. He's got one of the best long shots in
So Sabitzer would be a clever one. Very cheap as well.
Good option. 15 million euros.
And if you get Sasa Kalajic, bring in both the Austrians, that'd be fun.
Great shout. So I think that's a great shout from Jazz there. 15 million euros. Jack's three positions are, as he said, was it a right back to start with?
Yeah,
and
right
then it was
back.
a left centre back, and then it was a creative midfielder. So no dealings with forward line, but I can completely see that when you have those three starting for you up front. So I'm liking that. I'm liking that, Jack. Sid, I'm going to come to you next. You are on the right back, then striker, and then we have to finish off. What is your final position that you want to improve?
So, you know what? I agree with what Jack was saying, and is it Jazz about creative midfielder, or was it? No, it was
Jazz mentioned Sabitzer with
Sabitzer, yeah. But it was But I'm Shaviu said that, didn't she? Shaviu said that. But I'm gonna probably go with a left centre back. The reason I'm going for left centre back, is exactly what Jack said. We need somebody who's left-footed, and we need someone to play in that position. I know Davies can do the job, but we still need someone, let's say better and quality-wise and everything. But the reason I was looking at a creative midfielder as well. But for me, you've got a creative midfielder already. If you go and buy a striker, then you just drop Kane back, and he is your creative midfielder, because he can then do what De Bruyne does. He can ping them passes. He can pick a player. He can do whatever and better. And if you've got an out-and-out striker in Martinez or whoever, there's your creative midfielder. So I would go with a left centre-back. And if push comes to the shove and we go and get a striker, then Kane can become not only a striker, he can become your creative midfielder. Like you said, Jack, in the games where we struggle to break teams down, he can do that role, and he can do it very well.
That's a great shout about Harry Kane. And I don't think people will obviously look at, if you look at the Sky Sports sort of team show up and you saw Harry Kane in that role, and you think, oh my gosh, what is he doing? He's playing Harry Kane in the camp. You think he's a madness. But then because we know how the game would play out, how the system would look on field, it wouldn't necessarily be Harry Kane doing that number 10 role. He would pick up the ball, like you said, he would distribute, and then he would find his way into that box. So I think it's a great shout. I think obviously it's not us signing Harry Kane as a cam. It's just in case we need to switch mid-game. If it's a mid-game switch, Kane can drop down. Nobody knows he's even playing as a cam. You wouldn't even realize. So,
and also, Darius, that answers our question. We've got two. Then you're gonna have two world-class strikers, of which one of them can drop as and when needed, if needed.
Yeah. It's a really good option. It's a smart option. And again, like I said, these are just the top 3. We could go and get more players in our position. If you wanted to do your 4th, 5th, and 6th, I could, but we'd be here for hours. So I decided to do the 3. And to be fair with you, Sid, I think right back, striker, left centre back, nobody would argue with that as the 3 options to improve. So again, I'm very happy that we've actually all got different answers, and I'm very happy that we've all actually been able to very well describe our choices as well. So thank you for that. And Sean, finally as well, you, before I mention my last one, you're the opposite of Sid. You want a striker first, get that out of the way, then you'll go to the right back. And
the
then
game for me is about goals. It's about scoring goals. It's about making goals. Yeah. And I'm looking for a Christian Eriksen replacement who's not Christian Eriksen. And I'm looking at the boy from Lazio, Sergei Milinkovic.
Oh, Milinkovic.
Sergei. Love that, Sean.
Yeah.
He's got the most expensive
He has
taste.
spent so much money today. Oh my gosh.
He's got Sergei, Lautaro, and then what was the other one? Sergei, Lautaro,
Hakimi.
and then Hakimi. Come on.
You
that's the greatest window of all time. That is that's FIFA right there. You gotta love it.
That hat is something, mate.
It's a magic hat. He's gonna go like that, and he's gonna have a what a cash.
He wears a magic hat. Da, 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 da. No, come on.
Let's throw caviar in front of his face, and he would turn his nose at it. You know.
I've heard people describe this Milinkovic-Savic as something else, and do you know what would motivate me more than anything would be to get him out of the hellhole that is Lazio.
Yeah.
As a Roma follower. So yeah, bring him over. Let's go. Let's really set the heather ablaze. And
that's amazing.
Come on, Pep. Come on, have a go if you think you're hard enough. Come on.
You've just got money. You've got money to burn, and I absolutely love it because we
should
be like
Diamond
this.
District
He's
you know what? The Diamond District.
Look what Jazz just put. He said you're in the diamond aisle, mate. You're looking for the special ones. I promise you, Sean is going to walk out of this stream with Gucci bags and Prada bags, and he's going to want it all. So you know what? And
what's so good about the Diamond District over here too is that there's like no food in sight. You know, it's just diamond stores and jewelry.
Just diamond stores.
Like,
who cares about
for,
food?
Half a mile.
Who needs food and water when you've got diamonds, guys?
When you're shopping in the Diamond District.
Darius, the next comment by Jews as well. I can be so good for you. Arthur Daly.
Honestly, you got Weird Al Yankovic as well. You're getting them all, mate. You're getting them all. Honestly, I can't argue. I cannot argue with that. I think for me, it is about goals. And as much as we do have probably 2 of the best goal scorers in the league, why not add more? Why not just add more? Why not keep going? Why not completely just destroy teams to the point where there's no point in them even scoring goals to get back into it? Let's just demoralize teams from go. So yeah.
Do you know what I'm still carrying over? I'm still carrying over the North London derby vibes where we destroyed that team.
Yeah, let them know.
We let them know. And even Gary Neville was forced to acknowledge it on the Monday night at the Newcastle game. He said that team was destroyed by the fans as well as the players.
It was great.
It was great. Honestly, I've been, you know how I always tell you I'm too old, right? I was alive when Spurs were the league champions. Let's put it that way. But I have never been in a North London derby where I felt more comfortable than that one in May. It's a big sign, and that was probably the biggest North London derby or most important North London derby to remember in a long time as well. And the tears on YouTube of the Arsenal fans is just making it even better. Let's leave them behind in our slipstream, and let's go and chase down the oil states. I love that. I mean, it's a great shout, Sean. You have got the cash in your eyes. You've got the dollar symbols in your eyes at the moment. I mean. As your right back, you've got Striker, you've got Lautaro to start with.
Then we'll just go and get Hakimi to as the next one. And as a cherry on the top, as you dessert, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, probably one of the best, most ideal centre-back for Conte. I cannot argue. I'm so happy that you've gone all
Went for
out.
the tasting menu. He went for the tasting menu.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I think striker right back, and then you said centre mid, centre attacking mid, and you even gave me a name as well. Great shout. For me, I've gone right back, right wing. I feel like I've left myself a lot of positions where we need to improve that I haven't done yet. I think I can easily say centre mid, centre attacking mid. I think I could easily say centre back as well. Another one. But for right back, right wing, I do think I have to go to the back, to go to centre back. If I'm going to be honest with you, I think losing Davis would be more detrimental than losing Dyer. And the reason I'll say that is because I think there's not many other players who can play left centre back. So for me, it would have to be left centre back as my final choice, just because I want to improve the centre back position. And I think getting somebody like a Koulibaly, I'm not trying to say he's the one to get, but who's older, who's very, very experienced, maybe in the Premier League, in that centre back role is good. And then to get a young up and coming left centre back, because there's a few available, and because it's such a position, a left-footed centre-back, a left-footed left centre-back is such a rarity and such a difficult position to find great players in. Vardiol, Torres, Ndicka, and Bastoni are all four players who I think at the moment are left-footed left centre-backs that are available to get. If it will be difficult, yeah, that's one thing. But in a year, 2 years' time, these players might have gone to Cities, Chelsea's, and stuff like that. So while we can get a very, very good, potentially world-class left centre-back in, I think we should just go and do it. If there's a centre-back that we can get later on in the market, maybe a good steal, Badiashile, I've seen we've been linked with, little things like that, then we go and get it. But I think we should put our eggs in a left centre-back basket. I personally want Josko Vardiol. I think it's a hot take. I actually think he suits Conte's system more than Bastoni does. I genuinely believe that. And I think he's 3 years younger than Bastoni as well. So he's only going to get better as well. I would go for Josko Vardiol, even though it would cost you 75, potentially 80 million euros. I don't think it's going to be a bad signing. I think it would be similar to Konate, where it would just work. So like he did at Liverpool. So yeah, my one would be left centre back, and at the end it would be So it'd be right back, right wing, and then left centre back. No midfielders. I still think we do need midfielders as well, but that's the whole point about making you guys choose the tough ones, because I'm not letting you lot off easy. I'm going to finish off. I want to ask a real quick question to you all before we do finish off. It's been amazing, by the way, guys. All your support in the comment section has been absolutely fantastic. Gosh, it's still going on now. Jazz wants Barrett and Diaz. That's something that I've actually seen. We potentially, Alistair Gold mentioned that, to keep an eye on that one. He's actually homegrown, but obviously Chile native, so he could actually be one that we look at. He's only 23 as well. Athelstan says shame it was at 4-5. I agree, should have been more. David Clark, we can't continue Romero as a firefighter. He needs defenders on his same level. Agree, which is why I think we needs to get another centre back of that level. City about to nail down Cucurella. That's scary. I mean, somebody mentioned on Twitter it's taken them 6 left backs to find the right one, but I think this one probably will be the right one, to be honest with you. So yeah, Mark Cucurella to City, and also Calvin Phillips has been linked with them. And the fact that they're selling Jesus, Sterling, and potentially Bernardo, they're not stopping either. So I think they're probably going to buy more players as well. 3 starters, that's a great point that I never made. Jazz, that's a really good point. I think all 3 of our top priority signings have to at least be able to get into that team. If they don't, cool, that's because Conte trusts them. But Sean, you knocked it on the head. I think all 3 of those signings, if they're your priority signings, have to have an impact, have to shake up that team. So yeah, great shout on that, Chaz. Almost finished here. David Clark says Conte wants 2 centre-backs. Conte does want 2 centre-backs. Will he get 2 world-class centre-backs? I don't think so. So prioritising one of them to be the world-class elite one that you spend the money on, and then maybe looking at good deals, maybe youngsters, experienced players on low contracts. That's probably the second one that you go for. Jazz, man, there's no need. He's unattainable, apparently. Apparently we can't even get him. Can we not even put a bid in? Can we not even try, Jazz? Like, surely we could do something. We could do something, maybe. Martin agrees with me. Vardiol, ultimate, unlimited ceiling. I agree, mate. I mean, I've not seen a 20-year-old play that well as a centre back with that sort of experience in a long time.
Darius, you threw in Koulibaly into the mix.
Yeah.
Is there a concern about pace, the pace of the Premier League?
I
don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know the
Yeah,
player.
I do have that sort of a little bit of the reservations about that. But then I look at like the position or the formation that we're playing in. When you have three at the back, it's a lot more. You can be afforded to make those mistakes. You've got two, in my opinion, centre mids that are fantastically defensively as much as they are offensively. So you'll have them to sort of cover you. You'll have your fullbacks to cover you. You have your centre backs next to you to cover you. I think it'll be a similar role played like Thiago Silva. I think he will just be too intelligent, too experienced, just too much of a Rolls Royce Regal centre back to really have that issue with speed, if you know what I mean. He won't let himself get into those positions where his speed will be, a detriment to him. I think he'll always have that maybe extra yard or two dropped off just to make sure that he's in that. But I do agree with you. I think it's something to consider. But with the formation, if he was playing 4 at the back, like City, 4 at the back, high line, you got to be up and down. I definitely agree with you. But I think with Conte's system, it gives him the best opportunity to be eased into the Premier League and eased into the squad. So yeah, that's the only thing I'd say that why I wouldn't be against somebody like a Koulibaly joining. Bremer and Torres. Bremer seems like he's going to Inter. I think that if this Skriniar deal does go through, like you said, Sean, Bremer's going to be their replacement, and he's a really good player. He's a really, really good player. Didn't know anything about it. Exactly the same as Romero. I knew about Romero, but I didn't know he was that good until he won that Serie A Defender of the Year. Did a bit of, watching of him, watched his games, and Bremer's he's really, really good. And his numbers are very similar to Romero's as well. So, yeah, Inter again doing what they did with Lukaku, selling for loads and bringing a player who's not really going to drop off that much. Great talk, Jazz. We are wrapping up, so thank you so much. You've been here literally from the start. You are amazing. You are. Hopefully, we'll see you soon. I've not really seen you that much in the chat, so maybe it's me not paying attention. But thank you so much, Jazz. You've been a great contribution to the show. You've really made it actually pretty entertaining with some of your takes and telling me that Vardiol's unattainable. Now I'm going to go and cry in my pillow after this stream. Thank you very much. Leipzig could win the league if Lever leaves. Kids under contract. Yeah, definitely. Leipzig looked really good under Tedesco towards the end of the season. So I think they'll probably... Dortmund's... Nobody's talking about Dortmund's summer, but just Dortmund are making moves in the market as well. People are not talking about Borussia Dortmund enough. Süle, Schlotterbeck, Adeyemi. Now they've just bought Haller as well. Yeah, Dortmund are making moves. They've lost Haaland, but they're making moves. And Martin, I think, is a perfect comment to leave on. Thank you, Martin, for being here as well. You've been here from the start. Thank you so much.
Darius,
go on, Sid.
I had just one question in relation to the team, which I wanted to ask all of you's opinion.
Would you like me to bring the team up, or?
No, you don't need to bring it in.
No worries.
But it was just I just want to throw it out there. We signed Fraser Forster as our backup to Hugo Lloris. Do you think Sam Johnson's just signed for Crystal Palace on a 4-year deal? Do you think we missed the trick on that one? Homegrown as well.
Because of his age, because he's 29 years old, no. Okay. I know Forster's 34, but I just think because of his age, not really. I know he was a free like Forster, but for me, I think Lloris is really involved in finding that next. I think the next centre back, the next goalkeeper for us is going to be Meslier. I don't see how it's not. I think if Lloris mentioned when he signed that contract, he's going to be involved in finding the next centre back. It just makes sense to me that Meslier would be that sort of the French, young, loads of Premier League experience. Levy would love that. I think Meslier will be potentially one of the goalkeepers that we look at as a Lloris replacement. I definitely think they'll look younger than 29 for that replacement. So Forster and Johnson do very similar things in my opinion. I think Forster's a great signing, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%.
Eddie, I don't know if Sean and Jack, I don't know if you agree with those two, with those points.
Yeah, I think honestly, eventually, I think we're going to look for that Lloris replacement, but it's just going to be when whatever player we've been keeping an eye on, because it's kind of hard to train a young goalkeeper while you're giving Lloris every single game.
Exactly.
It's very difficult.
You have to take that risk, don't you? There'll be that one season where you just have to say, right, look, you're gonna have to like Lloris is
They're not like
gonna be
strikers
the
as
starter.
well, where you can just bring on a goalkeeper in the 70th minute, to
No.
give him a bit of experience, or is it, a bit of game time, it's just one of those positions where you
Absolutely
actually,
not.
you just don't, you play the 90 minutes that they trust you with. And usually with most managers, they don't trust them, with many.
And that's also a good shout. Sorry as well. Jazz mentioned Pope to Newcastle. I did see that while I was scrolling through Twitter. That looks like it's going to get done as well. I think that's a decent signing. I think it's really good for Newcastle. Whether their expectations and aspirations, should I say, is Pope in the next 5 years, I'm not too sure. But for the here and now, Pope is an amazing shot stopper. So he will definitely lower their amount of goals conceded next year. But I'm not going to hold this for too long because I've just looked at the clock and it says 1 hour 44 minutes, and I didn't want to go for that long. So I'm sorry for keeping you for so long, but it has been a great show. Like I didn't think it would work. I was a bit doubtful, but it sparked some really good debates, and I'm very happy that I chose to do it in this way. So thank you all for joining. Honestly, it's been amazing. I don't know when the next show will be, if it will be exactly sort of next Tuesday, or we'll do it based on sort of the rumor that's going around. But again, I would love to have you all back on. You never know what could happen. In 2 weeks' time, we could be talking about 3 more positions we need to prioritize because we've already got these ones sorted out. So I'm just excited to keep waking up every morning and seeing news about Spurs, positive news about Spurs on my timeline. It's very good to see. So everyone in the comment section as well, thank you so much for tuning in, for contributing, for being a part of the Paxton family. Please smash the like button. Please, because we are going to continue throughout the summer with all of these amazing guys. You'll see them on the shows. Jodie's coming back soon. Talking Points is coming back soon. There's loads of stuff to talk about. Acid will be on most Fridays, I'm pretty sure. Excuse me. Even if there's anything surprising coming on, like a shock transfer or something, pretty sure we can get me or Sid to jump on and speak about that as well. So just keep that note. If you press the notification bell will let you know whenever we upload a video, whenever we go live. That's probably the best way to keep in contact with us. But thank you so much. I am not going to hold you guys for much longer. Come on, you Spurs. Paxton Road, subscribe to Flat Cap Euro Talk as well. Let me not forget that, because that is a channel that you will see some Paxton Road members on, and it's a channel that, quite frankly, if you do enjoy European football, everybody should be paying attention to it.
And if you're trying to find Darius and where he's disappeared to, sometimes it's because I've stolen him and over on that channel.
We're there talking about the exact same thing we're talking about on here.
Great channel, great show, yeah.
So yeah, please do check out Flat Cap Euro Talk. It will be in the description. If it's not in there already, I will go and put it in there for you guys to check out. Please check him out. Jack is one of the best YouTubers in terms of information for European footballers. So I do appreciate him being here, and we do appreciate his knowledge, and we appreciate you as well, Sean, with your hat, and Sid with your glasses and your singing. Don't forget that. We're not forgetting you either. But you're here all the time, so you get your flowers enough.
That's right.
So thank you very much, guys. I'm wasting time now, and the intro music is gonna cue now.